Yeah, I think that's brilliant too. I think having specialists rather than general managers. I don't know how politics runs in well, most countries really, but in Australia it seems like most of our politicians are politicians. They're career politicians, and they can be given any portfolio,
Same
and
here.
that just seems really awful because they really don't know much about what they're doing. So whereas with Apple, it's you've got here because you were fighting in the trenches because you know a lot about white or thin, and that's why you got to the top of the white and thin department. You know.
Oh, I think we lost Georgia from Skype. Let me just get her back. Um, yeah, we have the exact same thing. So like one day a minister can be the minister of education, and the next day it can be the minister of justice. It's completely random.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Would you want to work at Apple, Seth?
Part of me, part of me would, because I think it would probably force me to really be the absolute pinnacle of what I could possibly be, and part of me is just like, no way, I don't need that kind of stress.
Exactly how I feel. I'd be the best Renee ever, but I would, almost die every minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Georgia, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, no, not, and I can't type in the chat room, so I apologize, chat room. I don't know.
We were just
It
asking if
would
you'd want
not
to
work.
work at Apple.
It would depend what they would want me to do, I guess.
I'd run the place.
Then it'd be good to go, but besides that, I don't know. It all depends. It must be high pressure. It must be high pressure. They really, they expect a lot. They, give a lot, but they expect a lot. So I don't know if I would want to go into such a high pressure job at this stage. I'd have to see. We get a lot of really good stories though, but then I'd get fired. Um,
Scoop!
Tippy keeps on getting those scoops, and then yeah, suddenly gone. Now the iPad 2 has sold out in China in under 4 hours.
Wow.
It's gone wildfire. Are you shocked, Renee?
Because there were so many people buying them internationally to send back to China already, and apparently they were scalping them still in China. I mean, it's insane. We heard that the panels were giving the panels are one of the reasons they can't get enough high quality panels. To Richard Lai saying, yeah, sorry about that in the chat room. It's all your fault, Richard. It's just amazing how this thing just keeps selling, and enough that people are scalping it like it's Super Bowl tickets. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's very cool. And do you think, and they probably didn't get this, so it wasn't because of the new iPad 2 commercial either. They had lined up even before this, right?
Well, it is magical.
Yeah, Seth, have you seen the new iPad 2 commercial?
I did actually. I must have walked past it and not realized what it was a couple times, but I actually, speaking of it being magic, was upstairs earlier before the show, was in the room with the TV. It came on and I stopped dead in my tracks and was transfixed for the entire time it was on the screen. And
By
then when
Mr.
it was
Peter
over,
Coyote.
and, and then when it was over, I had
4400.
such a feeling of warmth and peace. So yeah, I definitely think it's magic.
Does it, Mark, we have this magic debate all the time, and though Seth was transfixed, and then suddenly every time the iPad turns on with an alarm, he quacks like a duck. But Mark, did,
They did not
do you,
hypnotize Seth.
did you, beep beep beep. Do you find that the commercial does what it wants it to do?
Yeah, I think this is, if anything, it's kind of an answer, and I think you guys may have even said this in your blog post. It's sort of an answer to the question. The initial iPad was released. It was like, oh, what am I going to do with this thing? It's going to be useless. And this is kind of like, well, this is what people are doing. This is it. So yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. A little bit schmaltzy, but kind of impressive that they didn't need to show people show people touching touch screens and anything else.
Yeah, there was no
It was
humanity.
yeah.
I
Maybe
thought there was a
that's
lot
where
of
they're heading.
Yeah, but I thought there was a lot of feeling in it, which was very nice. Like
Yeah,
it had
Georgia?
a lot of.
If you ask a
Pardon?
parent, they might call
Oh
it
boy.
intuitive. If you ask a musician, they might call it inspiring. To a doctor, it's groundbreaking. To a CEO, it's powerful. To a teacher, it's the future. If you ask a child, she
Here it is.
might call it magic. And if you asked us, we'd say it's just getting started.
That's the line at the end. Just getting started.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make one really horrible comment, and yes, you can flame Chad for this comment. To, to my child, the fridge light is magical, though. I'm
Oh,
just saying. I'm sorry. I had to say it.
well, First Light is magical, you horrible human being, you.
The little penguin comes out, turns off the light, goes back to its place.
People in chat room are
Oh,
weeping, by the way. And look at you. You're
are
making
they
jokes about
weeping? I can't
refrigerators.
even. I've lost chat. I'm sorry. So you can go ahead and flame me for that. I had to say it. I just had to
Can
say
you really be sure the fridge light turns off though? I
it.
can't really ever tell. Maybe that's the
That's
magic.
true. That might be that, and the when I turn it's almost exactly the same as when I put the smart cover on.
Yeah, is it off and on?
Is it? Oh, does it? I don't know
Yeah,
really.
they just tell you it turns off. Yeah, it
They
turns
just
off.
tell you it
You don't
does.
need to check.
Smart
You don't need to check.
batteries isn't
Yeah.
that good anymore. Now, just getting started, Renee.
Yes.
Do you think that this leads us that there's going to be the rumored iPad, perhaps 3D, coming soon?
This is
Perhaps the fall?
this was kind of a twofer. There was a rumor going around that Apple is working on a 3D iPad, and this comes from Hollywood people, which means I believe it not at all. I give them the credibility that I give, analysts, I guess. Uh, uh, but first John Gruber, then MG Siegler, and now we're also hearing there might in fact be an iPad of some kind this fall. And I don't know if it will be 3D, but I think Apple really is just getting started. Like Mark said, it was all about what you're going to do with it, and now they're starting to get really confident that they think they know what you're going to do with it.
I really hope there isn't a 3D iPad.
Me either.
I'm just putting it out there.
Me
I'd be much happier with 2D movies and 2D screens and no 3D at all ever. And if we never talked about it again.
Because otherwise, Apple might as well be
Fine.
Sony, right? Or
That was
LG.
it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Apple is smarter than that. I think they they know that 3D really only has minimal benefits in certain situations, and the rest of the time it's just a complete waste. However, I'm sure they've got prototypes because why wouldn't you?
No, absolutely. Especially consider those wonderful 3DS sales. I mean, I'm sure they.
Ouch. Ouch. Seth, would you be
Snap.
interested in a 3D iPad?
No, no.
Have you been
not
thinking
really.
about buying a 3D TV?
No, not at all. I just bought a new TV and I was happy that it didn't have 3D in it. It's that honestly, it's a phase. It really is. I can't see it staying uh, at the forefront of consumer entertainment. It was big in what the
Jaws
60s,
3D.
and then you mentioned that I just saw it the other day in
Oh.
2D, and it was almost better.
Every movie is better in 2D.
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay, Avatar was great. Avatar was great. Tron Legacy, great. But
But they were
it's,
great not because of it being 3D or 2D. They were just good movies in the first place.
yeah, they were
Like I
good
can't say that
movies.
the three dimensions really made a difference.
I just don't think it's necessary. It's okay for events, but I don't think it needs to be an everyday thing. And I think something that I look at as much as my phone or my iPad, it would drive me insane. I can't see myself wanting one.
It's funny because there's only one Phil Nickinson. So at CES, Dieter and I had to represent Android Central at the Sony press conference, and Howard Stringer came out with his 3D glasses and did basically an entire keynote on 3D cameras, 3D TVs, 3D phones, 3D everything. And it was one of the most painful experiences in my life. But that man is sold on 3D. He believes that just like television went to color and then went to HD, it is now going to 3D. And I just don't think because color is natural. High definition imaging is natural. Trying to converge and focus on different planes at the same time is not natural.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
when we
completely
tested
agree.
when we tested the TVs, one is some of them you had to wear glasses, which would be great because I would lose the glasses, of course. And it seemed like too much work. It's not done well enough that it's just more work for me, and I don't want anything that's going to be a little bit more stressful. Though if they could jump all the way to holographic, I'd be in
The
for
chat
that.
room is saying 3D is ping.
Ooh. I don't know if
But
anything.
then again,
can do
even
that.
holographic, if you had if you could had some kind of cubey TV thing and you could walk around it and see different angles, what would kind of be the point? Usually the
It's
filmmaker or whatever
interactive.
wants to see one
Yeah.
angle and that's
The
the way they shoot
holodeck,
it.
Mark.
if you could interact
Yeah,
with
sure, that'd be cool.
it projected, that would be cool to play games and stuff that you could actually like move the puzzle pieces into
Her
something.
entire life, Georgia has wanted to
Connect,
actually
like-
play real Dungeons and Dragons, Mark. You can't get in the way of that.
Well, just to actually be able to slice down things in front of you would be very, very cool. To be able to
Yeah,
run around,
that
you
would
know,
be cool.
that would be
But
sweet.
it's probably not a TV or movie
It's
type
probably
thing,
not
is it?
happening this fall.
not at the
Probably
Apple
not.
annual
Yeah.
music event.
Probably not. Probably not.
And all the 3DSs that we tried gave everybody headaches, so I'm not impressed on the glasses free 3D either yet.
Okay, so we can say no to 3D.
Yes.
Can we say yes to voice recognition software for iOS 5?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they already have it anyway, so it's just a matter of improving it, right?
Well, they've done it. They haven't done a great job of it.
Call
and
Seth Clifford, mobile. Do you mean Seth Clifford, mobile, home, office, mobile, not found?
Hey, you're lucky to even get the right person.
Actually,
Yeah.
it works
Fred,
great. I've done
call
it, but
Fred, no, hang up. I'm driving. I can't hang up on them. And
we have a
Fred's
video up.
Never spoken to Fred.
We have a video up with a ton of different accents we tried to, and it almost always worked. And we tried it in German, Italian, English, French. It was very good.
Oh, cool.
But in
Well-
go ahead, Georgia.
Yeah, well, Apple says that they're in discussions with Nuance. They're makers of a Dragon Dictation, which is probably one of the better voice recognition software that's out there. And so this pretty much shows that they're, if nothing else, they're looking into it. And it'll kind of, Android's been a little bit ahead of the spiel for this. And my Samsung phone had fabulous voice recognition, years ago.
Your dumb
No,
phone.
it really did. It was great. It was great. It worked almost.
My Nokia you had to speak to it like a British woman to get it to dial anybody. Seriously, my friends all knew this. They would pick up my phone and say, "Call home." You'd talk like the Queen, and then it would work. Any other way, it would not recognize you.
Yeah, but the thing is
Please
that
call
talking
the
like a British
office.
woman almost works better for anything. Order pizza and that'll work better. So
2 large pepperonis. Stat.
definitely, we'll be there faster than you usually.
No,
would
I have
if
not been watching the royal wedding too often. That's natural. Well, here's the thing, Georgia, because
Ray, what do you
Woz
think-
said that they bought Nuance a while ago, and everyone thought that he was, making a big slip. And Nuance is what powers Siri, which Apple did buy. Siri is that artificial intelligence app that basically accesses search engines and local databases and does wonderful things like call me a taxi or book me a table at the cafe, and then it runs off and goes and does it. But Nuance apparently has not renegotiated with Apple. They're playing hardball. Apple could buy them, but it would cost them billions and billions of dollars for uncertain revenue. And the question I have for Seth, who's my go-to Android guy on this podcast, the Nexus 1 was fantastic when it came out with voice recognition, but beyond geeks, did any mainstream people care, or are they only waiting for Apple to invent it?
That's a very good point. It's a very cool thing to have, but it really is still a very isolated feature. Voice integration on Android is light years ahead of where it is on iOS. If they were to integrate something like Siri at the very lowest level of the OS and allowed you to do so much more, fill in all those text fields that you can do in Android and things like that, I think just based on the way that they kind of ease people into new features and roll things out kind of slowly and show them why they need to use it and show them the value of it. Like, we all know video
like a
calling.
FaceTime commercial, yeah.
Exactly. Video calling's been around for years, but all of a sudden everybody wants to make FaceTime calls, and all the geeks are like, we've been doing that since 2005.
The Nokia guys.
Yeah, and no one really cares because it's like, well, great, that's nice for you, but now it's on the iPhone. So it's the kind of thing, that definitely
It's already new.
We invented
Yeah.
it.